A bond formed through family, a love of sports, and the outdoors. Pickleball has brought them even closer, and Uncle Greg still owes Brigie a trip to the slopes. They are 3rd Shot Podcast. This is the Pickle with Mickle interview series. 0, 0, start. All right, I am here with Brigie and Uncle Greg from 3rd Shot Podcast. And folks, we're just going to get this thing started the right way, the 3rd Shot way. I figured I'd pay tribute. We're all going to take a little shot. I got my glass here. If everybody's ready.
We are.
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to take a pickle shot for 3rd Shot. Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.
Let's go.
All right, now we are ready. We can dive right into it. The crossover that everybody's been waiting for, that nobody thought could happen. I've got 3rd Shot on the court with me. It's a Pickle with Mickle interview series. Super excited to be here with Brigie and Uncle Greg. Here they are. I appreciate you both finding the time to come on the court with me. And first, Greg, I know we spoke briefly. You mentioned to me already what your full-time gig is. I find it pretty interesting, Brigie, that there you are in rec heaven out there in Vegas at UNLV, and you just told me the pickle is a little slim. What?
It is, and it's so sad, but I think it's because at our rec center, we are competing with a huge demographic that loves their basketball. So our courts are always occupied with basketball. Volleyball has also gotten very, very popular. So unfortunately, our pickleball net doesn't get set up as often as I would like, which I think once people start seeing it, that's what draws the attention to it. And then it just builds from there. So my goal is to get that net up more often so we can start building it up at UNLV.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, is there any sort of UNLV club team? I know pickleball is starting to take on at a lot of colleges across the country. They just did a Duper College event, I think right here in Scottsdale. I don't know how I missed it. I saw it on the socials. I mean, what about that?
Yeah, so I think it's in the works. I have met some students because it does have to start off as a student organization first before it can become like a full-fledged sport club. And so it's really just trying to gain the traction on campus and kind of build that knowledge base up and find those students who love to play. But I'm sure once we get that core group, then, word of mouth, it's just going to start exploding. But in Las Vegas, pickleball is huge. So it is a little bit underwhelming to go to campus and not see it as much as I do see it at the parks here.
For sure, the game is absolutely alive out there in Las Vegas. It's absolutely alive, Uncle Greg, where you are up in the Bay Area for sure. But it was actually, if I have the story right, that's how we've got to set the stage a little bit. You guys are always on this side of the mic, so it's fun for you to be over there. Wasn't it your word of mouth, Brigie, that really got Uncle Greg into pickleball? Weren't you starting to play? Did you get him to start playing? Did I get that right?
You did. Yeah, absolutely. So Uncle Greg has always been my go-to person for playing sports. Like growing up, I would always go to him for softball. We played on kickball teams together. We've gone bowling plenty of times together. And so naturally, when he came to visit in Las Vegas, I was like, you've got to come with me to play pickleball. And he was like, I think I've heard of that. Yeah, let's go, because he's always down. And so we went to Sunset Park and I introduced him to the game. And I think it was just after, 30 minutes, you were like, oh yeah, I get it.
Maybe the first 3 minutes, I get it. And then after 30 minutes, I'm like completely hooked. And then as soon as I'm off the court, I'm on my phone. Where do I get a paddle? Like, where am I going to find my first paddle? Yeah.
What was your first paddle? I went with my son. We got the bag of wooden Monarchs with a couple of balls in it, headed down to the park to start hitting around before I even, had a name paddle, at all. How about you?
E5. That was my first paddle because, I went online and I was like overwhelmed Like as most people, when they're going, there's just so many choices. So I was reading review after review after review, and I didn't want to go crazy and spend like a couple $100 for my first paddle, but I didn't want like the cheap paddle either. So I kind of went mid range, and at the
Okay.
time, the Z5 was getting some pretty good ratings for kind of that level of paddle that I was looking for. So that was my first paddle.
Awesome.
Mine,
Awesome. Now,
I
what do
was
you,
also on board with that wooden set. The Walmart special, I think there was like four in a bag.
yes.
Quickly graduated once I figured things out.
Yeah, I found out pretty quick you had to at least step up a little bit, and which we did. I even made some paddles when I first found pickleball, and that leads me to segue. I think we kind of started podcasting around the same time, and that's when I found pickleball. Now you started playing pickleball around 21. And the podcast started around fall 22. Did we have any pod chops in the family before that? Uncle Greg, were you a radio guy in college? Come on, talk to me.
I was in radio actually. It was after college. I was a big time golfer, and I had a golf company where we custom built golf clubs
Ooh,
for years. And part of our marketing strategy was we actually got time at the local radio station, so we did a golf
awesome.
radio show for 2 hours. And our deal with the radio station was half of the ad time we could use it any way we wanted to. We could sell it, or what we did is we promoted our own stores
Sure.
with our own ad time, and the radio show grew. So we started getting syndicated, and Clear
Awesome.
Channel picked us up, and we had like 24 different markets across the country. Armed Forces Radio picked us up. So at our height, we had about 2 million listeners a week listening to our golf radio show called The Golf Guys at the time.
That is too cool. Now, so are you scratch golfer? What are you, mini tour guy too when you're not pickling?
I usually have allergies, so I will scratch a lot, but my game is definitely not scratch. It was single digits for a long part of my life, but I just, you know what it is? Pickleball has consumed my free time now. I don't play golf nearly as much as I used to.
I love
I'm
the
sure that's
Bridget. Do you
changed, right?
golf at
I
all?
do not golf. Mini golf, I've tried my hand at top golf, but not an actual game of golf. Not yet, anyway.
I think the parallels between golf and pickleball are amazing from the recreational,
Hmm.
from the rec side of it, right? You get out there on the golf
Hmm.
course, you want to look good. You can hit that one shot every time you go out there, or you make that one putt, just like you might see on TV. And when you're a weekend rec warrior, you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I could, if I really put the time in, I'd be out there on tour. And it's just it's just like when you start playing pickleball, you hit that first great shot and you're like, oh, there's nothing to this game. I'm gonna be awesome at this thing. And there's a pro league. Where do I sign up? How do I get into this tournament?
Right.
And then next thing you know, the second time you play, outcome in open play or whatever the scenario is, this group, you think, oh, they got no chance against me and Uncle Greg right now. We're gonna wax these people. And you leave getting, 11-1, and they want to run it back. And you're like, no way, I'm going home and I'm going to rethink my life choices right now.
Crazy thing, the parallel that I see with golf and pickleball is like when you're golfing, either your putting's good, your driving's good, your iron game, maybe you're chipping, maybe a couple is good. Same type of thing for me in pickleball. My drives are good, my dinks are good, but like it doesn't all work on the same day.
Can't put it
Right?
all
There's
together.
something that's missing. It doesn't, I mean, it's like one out of a million times does it all fall together and you feel like, oh, that's what it's all about. I found it. I was in the zone that day.
I hear you, and I think you're exactly right. And for me, I don't get to practice a lot, and I've been off the court for a little bit, just getting busy with work and things like that, and haven't been able to play as much. But practicing is the only way you get better at pickleball. It's the only way you get better at golf. It's the only way you get better at anything. But we love to get out there and just play because it is so fun. And so this is a lot of fun. I'm having a great time with Third Shot Podcast here on the Pickle with Mickle interview series. Take me back to when the show started. So appreciate the color. Now I know you had a little experience there. Now, how did Brigie come into the fold? Were you just wanting to get on the radio too? Was this a kind of a passion of yours?
Not
Actually, Ricky,
until
tell the story.
yeah.
It actually has a TV background to this.
Ooh.
Yes, right. So I think it was just a few months after introducing Uncle to pickleball and him blowing up my phone, I think, every week about like, what do you think about this paddle? Like sending pictures or like telling me about all the parks by his house and all of the friends he's making, which was so exciting. And I had joined a Facebook page here in Las Vegas that kind of helps put people in contact with other people who want to play pickleball. And on this page, there was a posting about a casting for a pickleball reality TV show here in Las Vegas. And I was thinking, haha, Uncle loves pickleball now. Let me take a screenshot and send it to him and be like, oh, this is what's next. So I send it to him, not really expecting the response that I got, but he was like, okay, let me start looking at flights. Like, I'll come down and we can do this together and try out for the show. So
Awesome.
sure enough, he comes, yeah, right? He comes down to Vegas and we start planning how we're going to do our interview, because there was an interview process that they were recording, and kind of what our story is. And in that planning process, Uncle also proposed the fact that we should turn this thing into a podcast, because at the time there weren't many pickleball podcasts. And so we're like, this might be a perfect opportunity. So I got my feet wet with podcasting. Still learning lots along the way, but he's such a great mentor, and it's been so much fun since then.
Yeah, well, I think what you do is great, and I mean I don't try to find the same people that you're interviewing, but I don't mind riding in your wake a little bit when it comes to getting great people on my show as well. Was was that show the pickleball champion or whatnot, the one that was it Pickleball Kingdom, or was this a different thing?
Different. It was called The Big Deal.
Okay.
And it was a pilot, and the producers were trying to get it sold to a network. So we were part of the pilot show that they did, and eventually it got sold to Amazon. So yeah, it was on
All
Amazon.
right, we definitely need to talk offline with your background and my writing of the tale of Brynasty. Okay, I mean power scandal pickleball. I mean it's in the works. There's some stuff on paper, but we'll keep talking offline, and maybe we get this thing to some people who might do something with it.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
yeah. We'll have your people talk to our people, to talk to other people. We'll get it there. We'll get it
Get
there.
all the people, all of the
Yeah.
people. So right now, what kind of paddle are you playing with? Have you found a specific one that you like? Let's talk about this paddle thing. In the same way, guys, we need to talk about pickleball podcast blowing up as the whole game of pickleball is blowing up. My reaction, same thing. I started my show in 2022, not anything about pickleball at all. And it wasn't until the fall of that year a friend of mine who's a guy at the MGM Grand's like, oh, you should do your show in our studio. And I was like, of course I should. Every time I go to Vegas, I'm in the MGM studio. That's where I hang out. At any rate, it was the year of the PPA bubbly. And so I got hooked up out there. And that's when I got turned on to pickleball. And at the same time, I read an article, I tell this story in Sports Illustrated about the billionaire war for pickleball. And I'm like, I got to segue my podcast, Pickle with Mickle. It's meant to be. And I started to realize, wait a minute, there's a pickle guy, here's a pickle guy, here's a pickle pod. I think it's amazing. And at the same time, what? Where did all these people come from? But back to the first question, the paddle, what are you swinging today?
We have been so fortunate that we've gotten to play a lot of different paddles, but I think I always default to the Katana by Komodo. And that, I think that was because it's like my first like solid paddle where I felt like I was just empowered by it. Like it was so powerful. It had the touch that I wanted. It had the Kevlar. It was like one of the first ones that we've gotten to try that had the Kevlar surface on it too, which I thought
Okay.
was fantastic. So the touch on it was great. And I just got so used to playing with that one that I think I always kind of just default to that one. I make sure whenever we go to the park, I bring a spread of paddles to share with friends who maybe don't have one. And I always make sure I throw that one in my bag because I love it so much.
As Brigie was saying, we've been so blessed because we've had a lot of different companies come on and send us their paddles to try stuff out.
That's
Like
cool.
behind me, one of the companies, made us our own 3rd Shot paddle, which is really cool. Paddle Lab, shout out to you guys. You're fantastic. I don't know, people watching can see my Rain and Wind shirt right now
Yeah.
with the Hong Kong Fooey. Our mutual friend, Greg Storm, has sent us some of his paddles. He's amazing, and they play fantastic. I mean, super fast. I love the way his paddles feel. So it's tough. So when I have tournaments coming up and stuff, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, which paddle am I gonna like commit to and kind of get the feel before I play a tournament and like all the people I play with are just laughing because they go, "Well, what are you bringing today, Greg? What do you do?"
What are you going to show up
That
with?
type of thing. Yeah, what are you showing up with? I go, well, I'm trying this one out. We got a show coming up with this company, so I'm trying that paddle out. But yeah, I do like the Rain and Wind. Greg Storm has a fantastic company, great cause, giving back to the bees, mental
Yeah.
health, all the things that I think are special. I love, as a lot of these companies are giving back to the community, and that just makes it even more special working with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we see pickleball continue to grow, and we can talk about the growth of the sport, we'll get there in a second in regards to, TV and the pros and things like that. But it's like you said, and I know you've had the folks from Santa Barbara Happy on there, and Lauren's
Yeah,
great. And I think she made you guys some apparel stuff, and she
yeah,
does a great job out there in Santa Barbara. And I talk to so many more people who do great things in their communities, like we just mentioned, Greg. And the sport is a true connector of people, and I think it's amazing to hear people like, "Yep, now we're doing this in pickleball," whether it's apparel or the teaching or even getting into that paddle game, which I think hey folks, if you're trying to, you might not want to. There's a lot of paddles out there. They got that market covered. And don't podcast either. We got that covered, right? You don't have a
yeah,
chance on
we
the
do.
court
Yeah,
with the likes of 3rd Shot and Pickle with Mickle. We take you down. I mean, we rotate one of us in on the
that's
court. We got
right.
a fresh body out there every time. We got our own team for
Yeah,
Queen
we
of the
got a fresh
Court.
face behind the mic. Don't even bother. Yeah.
So you mentioned tournaments. How often do you get to, or do you try to play in a tournament? Have you played in a sanctioned tournament versus just kind of a local tournament that's actually, I feel from what I see, usually run better? But go ahead, tell me about that and that experience. Do you guys play together?
Go ahead, Uncle.
We have played together. We played the PPA Vegas, and we played mixed, and we held our own.
All
We did
right.
we didn't quite medal, right? What did we finish?
We
Fourth?
got
Did we finish?
fourth.
We got fourth.
It's pretty
Yeah,
solid.
Yeah, just shy.
Where were we
just
playing?
shy. And then
What
I think we were
level?
playing 3-5 at that one. We were playing mixed 3-5.
Three
Bridgie's
five.
younger, so I got to play down in age, which kills me. But
I hear
luckily,
you.
she's very athletic. She can cover the court. Thank goodness. Um, but what was interesting is we had a listener that listens to our show, and he said he was going to be down in Vegas. He was looking for a partner. Asked me to partner with him in doubles, and we landed up. I think we took gold. We took gold in
Nice.
men's doubles. Yeah. So
Nice. Three
that was
five or what was where were you playing there?
I
I
got
think it was 3-5 or 4 because he's pretty solid.
yeah. So
Now, would
anyway,
that be
that
a
was
duper, a
quarter. Was that the
udiper, a
New York?
grouper, a pooper? What kind of ranking do you truly subscribe to?
Tricky question. Because it depends on what tournament you're playing. They choose whatever ranking they want to go with. Like I just played in a tournament last weekend that was duper sanctioned. And I'm playing in a tournament this coming up weekend that is not duper, and I have a completely different rating. So
How far apart?
I just go with whatever the tournament says I am, and then I'll just I'll find a partner with at that level.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. And that's a great segue into, I mean, where do you find your time, following pickleball? Because we've got PPA, MLP, APP, NPL, Senior Pickleball League, and then, of course, just local stuff always. And I always echo this on my show. Folks, if you look around, there's pickle stuff happening, whether it's at these pickle places that are popping up all over or just local things down at your public courts. There could be events you could enter and really have a lot of fun. uh, Kind of where do you lean?
So we've gotten to play in a couple of local tournaments here in Las Vegas, and those were found on that same Facebook page that got us onto that pilot episode.
The big
And
deal.
so I think those are so exactly. I think those are so much fun to play in because you really get to meet the people in your community. Typically, those don't attract the attention of tourists. I mean, here in Vegas, there's always tourists here, so of course there's going to be some involved in the tournaments. But it is more so a close knit, like local community that gets to play, and so those seem a lot more lighthearted and fun. And a lot of times they're circled around like a charity event or a fundraiser of some sort. So we've done a breast cancer one here at the Plaza, which was so much
Awesome.
fun. And they had the baskets to give away. There's like side games going on. I think there was a DJ. So, I kind of lean more towards those fun kind of local tournaments as opposed to like the APP or the MLP. Those are very serious, and I just like to keep things kind of more fun.
It is when Brigie and I get together, it's all about like how do we bond, like, family. It just gives us an excuse to do things, family oriented, and have a great time and just smile. And it's brought us closer together, as close as we were as Brigie was growing up. Now that we're doing the podcast together and playing pickleball together, it just took our relationship to the next level, which is really special. And I'm so happy that Brigie introduced me to the game, and I got her doing the podcast with me, and we got to do the the pilot. It all kind of worked together.
Right. It all came together. It's all continuing to come together and moving forward. Like I said, I'm a big fan. I think you guys do a great job. I love the way you frame up the interviews and the marketing afterwards for it. I know you got some content experience back there. You could blow some of that dust this way. It'd be great. But when it comes, how do you see the game? I start to see it a lot of the international expansion. I've been fortunate to talk to some folks over in England and Ireland who are doing a lot with pickleball over there. Certainly, we'll talk MLP a little because it's down under in Australia, and the game's really big internationally and across the world. Are you looking forward to maybe doing some pickle traveling? Is that on the agenda? Maybe the radar? Talk to me about kind of that. How do you see anything of that nature?
I would love to travel and do some pickleball abroad. A lot of our guests are doing instruction in like Africa and Europe. We were lucky to be on another podcast, Everything But the Kitchen Dink, over in England, and they're really spreading the word. They have a top podcast over there across the pond. So I would love to do some travel. We actually had a guest on that does the tours, and specifically the cruises over in
Okay.
Europe. And then they play pickleball on the cruise, and they have instruction and stuff like that. I would love to somehow get involved with that. And then if Brigie and I can do that together, oh my gosh, we would. We're both foodies too. So
Oh,
if we could go
we're gonna
abroad
get
and
there.
eat food all over the place, oh my gosh, we'd be in heaven.
Right? Playing
That would be it.
pickleball, all the good eats, the special little places. I mean, the past two guests I've had on the show do, pickle teaching in Cabo or in Turks and Caicos, and Smiley Riley here did a pickle cruise where she took her group to Croatia. And I don't know if you saw any of that on the social media. They had a floating pickleball court that they were playing right there in the ocean. I mean, that stuff is awesome, right? I mean, I think that would be incredible.
It definitely is.
Yeah, totally. And just a shout out to Smiley Riley. I just love her handle because she is always smiling. Like
She's one of those people that you're like, I need some of that. Can we get a little bit of that? Right. And if you're okay with it, we'll all sell it together. Everybody will have just a little bit throughout the day. Right. Because you just need that sometimes. Right. You meet those people who they're just always up and down, and things aren't always rainbows and butterflies. But yeah, she's always smiling. She's always on it. And great person. And who would you say right now, put you on the spot, that you're on the hunt for to be on the 3rd Shot podcast? What's that next big guest you're looking for? Can you toil one for the peeper? I deal in toilers, part teaser, part spoiler.
are you looking at Brigie?
I don't know. Uncle's our main guy with sinking the hook. So have you been on the look for anybody?
Well, there was an MLP event up here in the Bay Area, and I mean, just by happen chance, I got to do the commentary with Jesse Irvin. And Jessie was, oh my gosh, she is amazing. I mean, just a nice person. Obviously has a wealth of information about pickleball and the strategy and the technique and stuff like that. So I mean, her schedule is super busy, but if there's some way down the road we can get Jessie on the show, that would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
That I think that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, I see her around, and when I get a chance to go to some of the tournaments that are out here, and I think for me personally, I would love to do that. When I started this, that was going to be part of my thing, was to get to kind of more tournaments, and because just to spread the word, get a little more presence, make those connections. Because then it's like, hey, I don't care where you are, I'll throw you the link. You click it, I'll be there. Let's get give me 5 minutes. That's some of my best sound I got from Anna Bright running off the court in between a match after she had won out here. I'm like, come on, give me something. And she's just like, yeah.
Have you ever
Better than
done a
nothing.
complete show at a tournament?
When I first started, I thought I was going to do that out in Vegas. And it turned out that the setup just kind of wasn't like that. I had some media credentials from PPA for a little while. They changed their requirements. Hey, it's bound to happen. The sport's getting pretty big. So long answer, no. But I'm not against
They
it.
are tough
I'd
too.
love to.
Right?
I mean, I say it all the time. The Pickle with Mickle pregame show is what MLP needs. They just don't know yet, or maybe they're just kind of working it out and how to squeeze me in there for a good 20, 30 before they start the action. Break it down with a few players, a couple shots or something. It's all good.
You need some co-hosts. Now you know where to find us.
I know.
Right?
I mean,
We'll
this
come and
team
join
up, this is how legends are made, right? This team up, we do this once a quarter. We're just going to blow up the interwebs. And next thing you know, people are coming to us, right? We're the big deal now.
That's right.
But yes, this is great. I'm having a lot of fun with the folks from 3rd Shot Podcast. And that's where we segue now into the speed 'em up rounds. And I'll ask you, you could be honest. Have you seen any of my interviews prior? Have you listened to my show? Are you ready?
Game
All
on.
right, let's go. Let's see what happens.
All right, we start. I always like to start off slow when we're up there getting ready for a hands battle at the kitchen, and I just might do a quick little ding past you. You never know. So we talked about earlier in the show today how you guys, obviously Uncle Greg, Brigie here, but spend a lot of time together. Great bond, always the go-to when we're doing sports type stuff. So when we're not pickling, what's our sports interest outside of pickleball? Do we like football? Do we like baseball? Any of those? Because those are going on right now.
You are.
Who's our teams?
I'm into ice hockey now, watching. Definitely not playing, but the Vegas Golden Knights are one that we definitely follow in my household.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a Vegas Knights guy too. The Coyotes have now abandoned us, but I started following Vegas when they became Vegas. I've had a chance to see a game out there, which is awesome. Folks, if you get a chance to do that, if you go to Vegas, you got to see if you can check out a Knights game. It's incredible. How about you, Uncle Greg? Favorite sports outside of pickleball, teams that you like to root for? Do you have an interest in this World Series? Probably not, because it's the Doyers. It's not the Giants or the A's.
I mean, right. I'm just so anti-Dodgers, but I really love Ohtani. Right? So I'm torn on this one. Judge over in the Yankees, he's a Bay Area guy, so I got a little bit of love for Judge, but he decided not to come to the Giants and stay with the Yankees, so that's kind of pushing me back a little bit on the Yankees. So, oh gosh, being a Giants fan
It's
and
hard.
A's fan, it's tough for me to root for Dodgers.
I know.
So, I think I'm not going to root for either team, but I'm going to root for players.
Cool.
But
I like that strategy. It's the same thing I was dealing with the other day when it was Oregon against Ohio State in college football. Somebody's going to have to win the game. I really don't like either team, but it's like I got to talk about it. Got to try to put one on the other. And with the World Series, living here in Arizona, I grew up in Braves. I grew up in Charleston. I spent a lot of time in Charleston, South Carolina growing up. My dad was in the Navy. And so before I moved here to Arizona, that's where we were the longest, because then we were flipping around everywhere. My dad drove submarines. And so I was a Braves fan and an Orioles fan, because that's what you got when you live in Charleston. The Orioles were really good, and the Braves were always on TV. Now living here with the Diamondbacks, it's hard for me to cheer for the Doyers. However, I do like Ohtani. I mean, if you like baseball, how can you not like Shohei Ohtani? I wish he could pitch in the stinking series, but I'm sure he's gonna hit, might steal a few bases. I hope it goes 7 games from just a sports fan perspective.
you're a betting man. I know this about you. If you had to bet, which team are you betting on?
I'm going to take the Doyers.
Really? Okay. And why?
Yep.
Why are
I
you going with
think I think they will surprise you with some arms that haven't shown much in the playoffs right now. And pitching's always the difference in these things. And I think they're going to surprise you with an arm you haven't heard of.
Ooh, you got some inside knowledge there.
Sources tell me I should not reveal.
Okay. Well, off
So
air,
we'll
we got
see.
to talk.
We'll see. I have
Please,
no
but
true
please,
inside
just let
information.
me
When I
know.
have it, I'll give it to
Okay.
you.
All right.
But that's what I
But
think.
to
That's
answer
just
your
kind
question
of that.
about my favorite team is the Raiders. Grew up a Raiders fan when they were in Oakland. Then, interesting story. Obviously, people know they had to go down to Southern California. I don't know. That was a bad move. But while they were gone, my uncle had season tickets to the 49ers, and that was during the Montana Steve Young years. So I became a big Niner fan. And then the Raiders came back, so I became both. I was the weirdo that actually
All right.
liked the Raiders and the Niners. I mean, everybody was so mad at me. Like, pick one. I go, why do I got to pick? I have loyalty to both because of the situation that I was in. So anyway, I like both the Niners and the Raiders, and lucky that I got to go to the Niners Super Bowl last year and visit
Awesome.
Brigie, and I took my daughter to the game, which was fantastic. She
Very
goes to
cool.
UNLV, so we got to do a little daddy-daughter time at the Super Bowl, but did not end the way it was supposed to end. Darn it.
No, can't get past
No.
Mahomes. I mean, how about that stadium though? That is, the eighth wonder of the world or something. I mean, that thing's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and also the UNLV's football team gets to play in that stadium. And so when Uncle would come to visit, we'd go to a lot of games because his daughter, my cousin, was on the dance team for UNLV. So she would be performing there too. So we spent a
Awesome.
lot of time inside of the Allegiant Stadium.
Okay, I got to see the hands on the hips from the 3rd Shot crew. You guys got to put that out on the social. Now that I know your daughter's a dancer, you can probably do that pretty good. I'm going to be looking for that one out there. The two of you getting the thing going, you know how it works. All right. So, I mean,
No,
I'm a
she got
Redskins
it from
fan.
her mom, not her dad. Trust me.
I'm a Redskins fan, and I'll give you a quick Raider story because of course you broke my heart when you were a kid. Big Marcus
Yep.
Allen run
Yep.
destroyed us. I'm out there in
Yep, that
Vegas.
reverse field run for a touchdown. Oh my goodness.
I'm out there in Vegas, and at the PPA bubbly deal, and I'm getting this is a paddle I made, and I'm getting it signed by everybody I can find. There's Anna Lee right there. I had her sign at Whiplash because I call her Anna Lee Whiplash. That was pretty cool. But you can barely see it.
Very cool.
It's hardly legible because my Sharpie was so bad, but it's Marcus Allen. He was sitting there watching the pickleball.
Oh,
And I asked him for his autograph, and he's like, sure. And I'm like, I'm a big fan. I'm like, you crushed me in the Super Bowl back then. I'm a Redskins fan. And he's like, you got to get over that, brother. And then he looked at me and he goes, and you got to get a new Sharpie.
well, here's a little story that hardly anybody knows about me. I have two daughters, but if I had a son, my wife and I thought we were going to name him Marcus Allen.
Very cool.
That was
Very cool.
Because Marcus was my guy.
All right. So we covered. What about any college allegiances? Are we all UNLV? I jinxed them earlier this year when they were undefeated, and I had them as my sneaker team to make the playoff. It's my fault. You can blame it on me. I did it.
I mean, I'm UNLV
All right,
through and through, and they're not doing too terrible. They had a pretty good win last weekend, and we've got our homecoming match this Friday. So we'll see how they do against Idaho.
Yeah, the Vandals.
They'll
watch
take
out.
Idaho.
They should.
They'll take Idaho.
All right.
Yeah.
So you said your foodies, favorite food. Brigie, go first.
One specific food, or can I pick like a category? That's so tough.
Favorite entree.
Sushi. I could always eat sushi.
Any
Doesn't
specific?
matter
I mean,
what type.
doesn't matter. Uncle Greg.
I don't have a specific role, but just sushi.
Okay.
You know, the beauty of being in Vegas when you go to sushi with Brigie is all you can eat places in Las Vegas. You don't have to choose one thing or two things. You get 20, right? When you go to all you can eat.
Get whatever you want. I guess that's why it's so hard for me to pick. Never have to.
Uncle Greg, how about you? Favorite food?
My favorite food, I think my favorite dish is Chinese roast duck.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
I love.
What kind of
Chinese
sauce is
roast
on
duck.
that? Is that like got a like a is there a peanut like sauce they do sometimes on that or something like that? No,
No, I mean they
garlic.
do have a little sauce. I kind of just I don't use the sauce, but they do have like sometimes people will serve it with a little plum, like a little plum sauce.
Okay.
Some people will have it with like a little bit of a salty. I don't even know what do you call it, Bridgie, that you would pour on a roast duck. I don't know.
So I Googled it because I love it so much and I never know the name and I still don't know the name, but basically it's like the pan drippings from when they roast it and then they pour it into like a little cup and you can dip it back into it. So
To
it's
make it
like
fancy.
a
Yeah.
jus. Yeah. So
So
good.
basically, it's like flavored grease, is what you're
Sure.
saying. Is that what
Yeah.
that
Best
is?
part. That's, that's the best part of any, of any dish is its natural flavors. Okay. We're getting
Yeah.
close to Halloween. Are we Halloween people? Are we dressing up for Halloween? If so, how? What are we going to be?
Yeah, so I've got a 7-year-old nephew who is one of our biggest fans of our show. Shout out to Finn. And I'm going trick or treating with him. He's Bob Ross, and I'm a painting. So I
Oh,
found this. It's like a poncho, and you put it on, and if you stick your arms straight out like a T, then it hangs on you, and you look like a canvas, and it's got like a landscape. So he's my
is he
artist,
gonna
and
have big?
his
Is he gonna have big hair and
fro,
everything?
the exactly. Yeah, you can't be Bob Ross without the fro.
Gotta have it.
Is he gonna have the whole palette and paintbrush and the whole bit
He
walking around?
is. Yep. That's what got him on it was he found a palette at the store and he looked at my sister and was like, I'm going to be Bob Ross for Halloween. And his mind has been made up ever since.
That is
So
great.
great, Greg. Any such?
No, I am not going. I'm not dressing up this year. I am playing in a tournament that's right before Halloween, and there is a costume contest.
Okay.
And I'll talk to my mixed doubles partner tomorrow. We're having a little practice sesh, and see if she wants to do some type of theme or not. But
All right.
as of right now, no costume.
All right. I'll be looking for it. I'll be looking for it. Now you're
All
playing
right,
a lot of tournaments. I
I'll send
mean,
you one.
any aspirations of National Pickleball League for Uncle Greg here? Are you looking maybe turning pro in a few?
No.
You're getting close, though. I think you could do it.
Oh
Hey,
my
we'll
gosh,
have to
my
play in some
body will
tournaments.
break down.
We'll play in some tournaments together and we'll have a lot of fun. All right. Would you stay in a haunted house?
No way.
Uncle Greg would.
Uncle, you would? What?
I think you told me, or your sister told me, my house is haunted.
Yeah. I think there was some spirit activity going on in your house.
Right?
So you
So
do
I
live
think I
in
already
one.
live in the haunted house.
So it wouldn't be a stretch.
I think it's reality right now.
I don't want to hear live reports, outside of Channel Watch 5 Bay Area, spooks and, ghouls found running around, popular podcast host taken by
Yeah.
aliens. Who knows? How about aliens? Do you think, are we alone out there? Are they coming?
I totally believe in aliens or think that there's extraterrestrial presence beyond us. I mean, how could we be the only things living in this universe? And the universe is so vast. I just think that there's no way.
I agree. I
There's
mean, I
no way. I think they're already here, right? We just don't
Probably.
know. Or it's being. I think right, conspiracy theory. I think people do know, and it's just being covered up.
I think
heard
people
Steph
know a
Curry
lot.
was an alien.
You think Steph would let you know?
I heard Steph Curry was an alien. I don't know if he would come out with
he might
it,
be.
but I saw a video.
I mean, he's too good at basketball and golf to not be an alien, for crying out loud. All right.
Right.
What about clowns? How do we feel about clowns?
I'm okay with clowns. I think that they're fun, and I love circuses. So hey, sign me up.
With clowns. I think it's
You're okay with
hilarious
those?
you asked that.
I know, right? That's a funny question.
Well, it's Halloween. I mean, it's a fair question, right? I mean, we went through the haunted house. Favorite kind of music? Do you have a pump up jam song before a tournament, Uncle Greg?
I don't have a pump up song, but the last tournament that I actually gold medal, when I got into my car to drive to the court, "We Are the Champions" was the song on the radio when I first got into the car.
Get out of here.
Whoa.
So go figure that one. Like that was just an omen that this was going to be the day.
It's aliens.
Brigie, how about you?
I don't have a pump up song, but I grew up playing high competitive soccer. So before the tournaments or before any game, I would listen to the whole Aqua CD or album with like Barbie Girl on it, Candyman. And so like 90s pop, I think, can get me going.
All right. Sounds good. What would we prefer, surf or ski?
That's a good question. So I have skied a lot in my life.
Okay.
But I have this romantic feeling that I would love to be a good surfer and just be on the beach, be on the surf. But I was awful at surfing. So I tried. I was bad. So I would like to answer surf for that one, but I can't.
All right. You can. I mean,
I could answer it, but it's,
Brigie?
it's not going to happen.
I've never skied before, and I prefer warmer weather, so I'm going to say surf. And I've gone surfing one time. With the help from a friend, I was able to stand up twice. So, Uncle, we can take some classes and we can go surfing together. Maybe that'll be our next.
Yeah.
Our next
How have you never taken her skiing, for crying out loud? I put that on the agenda.
All right, we'll
That's
do
true
that too.
Yeah.
We'll do
It's
that
a little
too.
easier to
Okay.
get.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably get to a place nowadays where you can go skiing during the day, and then après ski, they probably got pickleball courts in the lodge, right? I mean, perfect.
Oh yeah. I was just at Steamboat Springs in Colorado skiing, and then they have indoor facility right down from the slope. But
Perfect.
here's the question for you: would you ski
Yes.
or snowboard?
I am a knuckle dragger, so I would snowboard. So I started off skiing, and then when I moved to Montana before I came down here to the desert. That's when I started snowboarding, and I used to snowboard during the day, do the night audit thing at the hotel, and then that was a lot of fun for a little while after college. And then me and my roommate looked at each other and decided, I mean, we need like a bigger mountain if this is what we want to do. And then we ended up down here in Arizona.
Snowboarding there, huh?
Not a lot. And let me tell you,
No.
Arizona Snow Bowl is not worth $300+ a lift ticket that they were trying to charge last year. But growing up, I skied a lot in a lot of cool places because we were stationed over in Europe, got to do some skiing up in the Italian Alps and things like that. And then other than that, mostly on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's great.
Dream destination. And this could be for anything, place you haven't been that you really want to go.
Japan. That is high on my bucket list of travel places. I've never been, so it would be my first time, but I've heard wonderful things, and sushi is my favorite food. So what better place to go visit, right?
For me, it's I want to hit Italy and Spain. I haven't been to those two countries in Europe yet, so I want to hit those two probably in the next big trip I go to.
Okay. We lived in Italy, so got to see a lot of Europe, which is what brought me out west. I had seen more of Europe growing up than I had of the United States. I was born in Vallejo, California. Again, dad in the Navy. Then it was East Coast, Europe, Pennsylvania boarding school, North Carolina college, Montana, and now here I am talking to you guys. I mean, whoa, what a journey.
Well, I got to ask you because I just had this conversation with my daughter last night because she's been to Italy and France, and she said, which surprised me, that the people were actually more rude in Italy than in France. And I go, that's counterintuitive to what I heard in the past. You've been there. What do you think?
Now, I haven't been there in a while. My experience would tell you, where in France was she? I would say southern France, where the people are très bien and very nice. Now, what I have heard is recently in Rome per se, that it has changed over the last decade, and then people can be maybe a little nasty. My experience, Italian people, molto bene, right? Awesome. Italy's great. Never had a problem living there. Even as an American, people were always very, kind of like trying to help you speak Italian and then kind of get you through it. And so great experience in Italy. And then, of course, the second time I lived there, we were on a small little island. So who's going to complain about that?
Gosh.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on the island of La Maddalena, which is just above Sardinia, which is the big island out there. Corsica's above it. And so, yeah, we got a little Navy thing going on out there. I think that's all I can say, or then I might have to get your addresses and nearest. No, I'm just kidding. Current celebrity crushes. Uncle Greg, you first.
Oh, celebrity crush current. Okay. That's a tough one. There's just so many. No. Let me think. Brigie, you gotta go. Let me think about this one. I gotta.
All right, he lobbed over to you. You got to take it.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. One of my long-standing celebrity crushes is Channing Tatum. There's something about that guy. Maybe it's the movies he plays in. What was that?
You
Magic
and
Mike
Camilla
or something?
Zovetti. I mean, Channing Tatum, popular in the Pickleverse. This Channing Tatum guy. Definitely not for his role in Wolverine and Deadpool. If you've seen that, that was. I hope he got paid a lot for it.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was.
Anna de Armas is my celebrity crush right now.
Okay.
Who's that?
It's a solid pull. Didn't she play Cinderella? Or am I thinking of a different Anna?
Oh, you're thinking of a different Anna. This one, she was in one of the Bond movies.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because was she in Roy? No. One of the recent Bond movies, right?
One of the more recent Bond movies. She was in Knives Out. I think
yes.
She was in that movie. She's been in a number of movies. She played Marilyn Monroe in Blonde for that.
Was she nominated for awards in that, or mentioned for awards?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
See, it's clever how I do this because it's all a setup for the next question, which is favorite movie, type of movie. And the follow-up to that is last movie watched or series binged.
Oh, okay. Do you have yours, Uncle?
Well, I've been hooked on Netflix watching either Korean dramas or Japanese dramas. Like I've been like just like I can't stop watching them. But what's that?
There's a Netflix show that's it's a Korean, I think it's a Korean series, and it was based on a book, I'm pretty sure, about it's your typical like, now we're older, I'm gonna get revenge. It's like a girl she was like tortured by her friends in high school, and have you seen that one?
Yes, and it was fantastic.
It's
fact,
good.
Brigie's mom and I both watched it, and we would trade notes on that one. Yeah. That was one of our favorites. The last one I watched, though, was actually talking about being a foodie, was called Class Wars, and it's a Korean cooking competition that they pulled the top like celebrity type, high-end chefs in Korea versus the up-and-coming chefs of Korea. And they kind of pit them against each other, but they kind of make them team up against each other and figure out who was the best chef in Korea. It's called Class Wars.
Very cool. Brigie, you think?
Just watched that one, so you guys can follow up, take notes, or trade notes on that one too. I guess they share a Netflix account or something. I don't know.
How about you? What's the last series you binged?
I binged in one day all of that new show called Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell. It's on Netflix as well. It was funny. I was actually surprised at how much I liked it. Yeah. It's one of those shows where you don't have to pay like super close attention to. You can kind of just like have it on in the background while you're doing stuff. But it was really good. And I heard they renewed for season 2 as well. So I don't have to put an ending in my mind together for it. Something else can show me.
All right. Back to a little Halloween stuff to finish us off here because it is almost Halloween. If you're passing out the candy, are you handing out full-size bars?
The kids
not coming to your house. Not coming to your house.
No.
You probably like candy corn.
I hate candy corn. That's one of my least favorite candies of all time.
So you know what I'm going to ask you. You like candy corn?
I do. I can eat like 5 and then I'm done.
What about black licorice?
I don't mind it.
I'm an Almond Joy or Reese's guy.
Okay. I like them both.
Okay.
Brigie, how about you? Favorite candy bar or candy that's not candy corns?
Snickers are always good, and Twix, and I love them when you put them in the freezer for a little bit so they get kind of hard and the caramel gets really stiff. That's my favorite.
Which side do you like better, left or right?
Right one for sure. It's way better.
You're right, Twix gal. All right, it's important to know.
How about frozen Charleston chews?
Now,
Yes,
Greg,
that's so
you just made such a strong pull. Nobody outside of our orbit knows what a Charleston chew is, do they? Do
Are
people
you
still eat
kidding?
Charleston
Really?
chews? I think that's
I
old
love
school.
Charleston Chews.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
asked somebody if they knew what a whatchamacallit was, and they looked at me like I invented a new language.
I'm gonna hit you with the Reggie bar. How's that?
Oh, loved a Reggie bar back in the day.
I don't know that
How about a
one.
O.
What's a
Henry?
Reggie bar?
There you go. Sportsaholics that love chocolate too, right? So yeah.
Yeah, can't get it wrong. All right, having a blast with the folks from Third Shot Podcast. Final Halloween question going back to movies. Have you seen a movie you would say was too scary?
I don't think so. No.
I wouldn't say too scary, but there have been ones that have made it hard to like walk through my house with the lights off. But then I wake up the
Okay.
next day and just kind of forget about it. But I don't think too scary. I like scary movies though.
I'm a scary
But
movie person.
I do feel like some of the shows on now that are like real life, like documentaries of stuff that really happened, like murderers or this like it's so disturbing. Like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Like a movie doesn't scare me, but the real life stuff is like, oh, come on.
Yeah, this guy's right down the street, and it was only 10 years ago we found 17 people buried in his backyard. Stay tuned, we'll be back. You're like, what? No, I don't
Right.
need to know.
Right. You said you were born in Vallejo. Like it happened like right where you were born, like right around.
That's why I got out of there.
Luckily, you're still alive.
Oh, this has been a blast. Let me have you guys plug anything you'd like to as I get you out of here, but then hold on for me for a second so we make sure everything finishes uploading, okay?
Yeah,
Sounds
we'd
good.
love to share our social media handles with everybody. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at 3rdShot Podcast. We're also on X at 3rdShot Pod. And we've got a great website, 3rdshotpodcast.com, where we have all of our previous episodes. We've got some blog posts, some apparel. So yeah, if you haven't already, we highly encourage you to go check us out.
Absolutely.
And email us. We love emails. Brigie at 3rdShot Podcast. That's BRIGIE. Or Greg at 3rdshotpodcast.com. So email
Awesome.
us, find us social media, post, do it anyway.
Get them an email, find them out on social. You can find us too at the Mickle Pod and Pickle with Mickle on YouTube, I should say, at the Mickle Pod everywhere, all major podcast apps. You can go to my website, picklewithmickle.com, and you can listen to us. But if you want to see us, you need to go to YouTube. I have had a blast. Brigie, Uncle Greg, thank you so much. Be great to run into you sometime. Are you coming out here for nationals? Let me ask you that real quick.
Maybe.
I don't think so for me because I looked at the dates and I actually have a work thing going on where I cannot make it down there. But I know it's going to be a blast.
All right. Well, Brigie, if you happen to get out here, let me know via email or something, and we'll try to get together. We'll get some real pictures and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. It's been so much fun to be on the Mickle Pod.
Fun? How about super fun? An absolute pickle-tastic time? Thank you, Third Shot crew. Let's run it back anytime. And for all y'all, stay safe out there. Stay hydrated. Come back next time for more